Hey guys, it's Bethany and Kristen from Girl Defined Ministries, and today we are going to be talking about why I saved my first kiss for marriage. I'm not married yet, but when you see this, I will literally be married. I will be Bethany Beal. Yes, I'm so excited about that. So when you watch this, I will be doing all sorts of kissing, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to be doing that kissing. I did not expect this road to last as long as it has.
30 years?
So when I decided, like, hey, that would be a cool idea, and then, you know, each year, like, yeah, this is a cool idea, right? You know?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Christine, and I am from Tight Hole Ministries. This is my first YouTube video. I am a little bit nervous. I have never actually interacted with any form of modern technology, but after sitting and pondering and praying on it, I decided that it would be considered God-honoring for me to come on the World Wide Web and share my beliefs with all of you. Listen, we live in a day and age where Satan and temptation is all around us. We live in a world where scientists who dedicate their entire life to finding out how the world works based on factual evidence are held at a higher regard than a God who we don't even know exists. And that's wrong. We live in a world where people are doing something called masturbating. Can you believe it? Literally making themselves come. And I can guarantee this, they're probably not reading the Bible. I mean, just last night, I was sitting in this apartment and upstairs, I heard people having sex. I ended up going up there myself to investigate because I thought someone was getting murdered. She was screaming so loud. Turns out I walk in, he's got his penis stuck inside of her vagina and they didn't even have rings on. It's about time I pop on the internet and intervene. I went on my blog and I asked you guys to ask me questions about some of your hardest struggles through this God-honoring journey. Let's get started. Mary asks, I started bleeding out of my vagina. Does that mean I'm a sinner? Well, Mary, I'm glad that you asked, because if you're bleeding out of your vagina, that means that you've committed so much sin that it's gonna be extremely difficult for you to ever be accepted into the gates of heaven. But lucky for you, Mary, even if you have committed heinous Satan-like crimes like masturbating, kissing before marriage, or lusting after boys, you can be saved just by asking God for his forgiveness. So basically, when your vagina starts bleeding, that is because it is crying out for help. It is crying out for the Lord Jesus Christ to say that, please help me, please help me. You know, you see an animal bleeding on the side of the road. What's your first instinct? Do you want to help it? That's exactly what your vagina is doing. It's a call out for help from Jesus Christ. When I was in school, there was a girl who was only 10 years old and her vagina started bleeding. I mean, can you believe it? As we progress in this day and age, people's vaginas are bleeding and bleeding and bleeding so much faster. You need to isolate yourself for 72 hours. Don't speak, don't eat, don't drink any water, and just sit there and say the Hail Mary over and over and over again. Allow God to fill up your body. You don't need food. You don't need water for this probational period. You just need to accept him into your soul and into your whole. Now, during this time, very important step, you need to take something like this. It's very absorbent, it's very thick. It looks a little bit large, but you need to stick it up inside of your vagina. You shouldn't have any problems because you're probably loose as a goose. So you're gonna take your leg up like this, you're gonna take your towel and you're gonna stick it all the way in your vagina. And like I said, you better not stop for 72 hours. That is going to allow all of God's positive energy, love, and light to soak up all of Satan's blood that has tainted your vagina. After 72 hours, you'll take out the towel. It will be covered in blood. You wanna burn it, you wanna throw it away, and you wanna ask God to please forgive you. I can give you a little personal story with how this works. So one day, my husband, John, cheated on me, but because he is a God-honoring man and he asked for forgiveness, it was not his fault. So it was actually the whore's fault who sucked the soul out of him through his penis. So what I did was I found her and I did this technique. I filled this towel with holy water and I shoved it up her vagina, and I locked her in our basement for 87 hours. And when she came out, she was dead because she didn't have any food or water. But the point is that God came and cleansed her, and sometimes that will result in death. Sometimes you are so tainted with sin that the only opportunity is for God to just take you up to him himself. And that is what happened. And I truly believe that he used me as a vessel to do that. So yeah. Kathleen says, I've read the Bible 5 times. What are some other God-honoring activities that I can do? This is why I wanted to make my YouTube channel, is because there are so many other God-honoring activities that you can do besides reading the Bible at home. You can incorporate God-honoring activities into your everyday life. Did you know that there's a Satan-honoring group in the world called transvestites? It's pretty darn scary if you ask me. They basically look like women, talk like women, act like women, and sound like women, but they have extremely large syphilis-infested penises. Ugh, I shudder just thinking about it. And the worst part, Kathleen, is they are actually allowed to use the same restrooms as us. Can you spell assault? Because that's the first thing that comes to my mind. One of my favorite activities to do is called trap hunting, where basically you go into a public restroom and you try to find a trans woman. They're very easy to spot. They've got very square jaws, very protruding brow bones, and most importantly, they've got a huge bulge because their Satan-filled penis is just sticking out. It's full of so much sin. Now, here's the thing. As medical advances progress in the Western world, they're becoming a little bit harder to spot. There's a few tips that I have. So if you ever go in a public restroom, you will notice that there is a spot between the bottom of the stall door and the floor. And that was actually made so that you, as a God-honoring woman, can slide under there and see if the person inside has a penis or a vagina. Now, there's a few tools that you're gonna need as a trap hunter. These right here. First is your trap beater. You're gonna take this and knock them repeatedly in the skull for trying to use the bathroom that they identify with. And you're gonna beat them unconscious until they can no longer breathe. The next tool is your trap cutter. You're gonna take this and cut off that ugly, ugly penis because it doesn't belong in the women's restroom. And why is everyone acting like that is okay? It's not okay. Sorry, sometimes God's passion just really takes over me. How great is our God, and all the traps will see how great our God is, baby. Whoa, yeah, 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 whoa, whoa. Download my God-honoring album below on Spotify and iTunes. Another God-honoring activity that you can incorporate into your everyday life is called wiping. In the Western world, makeup has become a very popular Satan-honoring tool. He never intended for anything to be covered up, with the exception of all of your skin from the neck down. Men over time have been conditioned to believe that makeup-covered faces are in God's vision, and that they are actually more attractive than this. Can you believe it? I personally would never step foot into a makeup aisle. I think it's gross and I think that it is deceptive. However, they do sell something in the makeup aisle called makeup remover wipes, hence the term wiping. You can actually practice this on the subway, on the train, in the mall, in the grocery store. You go up to these women and you look them in the eye and you just start wiping off all that makeup. And as you're wiping and wiping and wiping, you're praying for them. You're saying, dear God, please forgive this god-awful ugly whore and her unblended eyeshadow, because she is trying to trick my husband into letting her suck his dick. And I am not going to let that happen again. That happened once and I don't want to kill another woman. You wipe off all that makeup, you hand her a Bible, and you tell her to get to reading. She's got a lot of time to make up for because God is coming soon. I can feel it. In the Bible, it says all of these horrible, horrible things will happen right before God will come into our lives. I mean, think about it. We've got technology, we've got cell phones, we've got makeup, we've got transvestites, we've got homosexuals. It's coming. I can feel it. Our last question comes from Amber, and she says, my husband and I waited until marriage to have sex. Good job, Amber. Can I get a holy high five? Of course, with sex comes ejaculation. My husband has been ejaculating inside of my vagina, and it feels so good to have God's fluids filling me up every night. However, my husband wants to ejaculate into my mouth. Do you think this is okay? What do you think? Amber, I'm so glad that you wrote into the show. This is a topic that is extremely important to me. I'm gonna give you one piece of advice. You need to gather all of your belongings, take your kids, and you need to run. And I'll tell you why. Your husband is a homosexual. Homosexuals were invented in the 1700s when Satan spawned them onto this planet and gave them the sole purpose to steal our husbands away from us. Kind of like the transvestites, they're master manipulators, but the homosexuals have taken it to another level because they don't even try to appear as women. They use psychological warfare to get into the minds of God-honoring men. Now, I had to do a little research on this topic, and I personally found out that this might be a little more complicated than we thought. There are thousands and thousands of videos online on websites like Pornhub and XTube of women drinking cum. And the thing is, they look so happy doing it. Now, to make sure that I'm not crazy, I decided to do a little experiment. Now, to prove to you that drinking semen is incredibly disgusting and unnecessary, I have actually collected a semen sample from my husband in this cup. Now, it looks a little frothy, so I'm just gonna take my trap beater and kind of mix it around a little bit. Now, as a holy woman who has never tasted semen before, I, on camera, will take a sip of this in front of you just to show you that it's not something that you need. Here goes nothing. Oh, fuck. It's so good! I guess the Satanists were right after all. Drinking cum is approved. I mean, really, it's just so good. I love it. I love how it tastes. I can feel God's word through the liquid. It's so good. I love it. This is better than any Bible camp I've been to. Well, guys, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed my first Q&A. Be sure to leave any other questions that you have down below, and I will be willing to answer them just for you. I love all of you so much, but just remember, I love God more. Bye.